Hi, I'm Chris Willshire with FOLIO, and I'm doing a little bit of testing today with my new RH450 by TC Electronics. I'm one of their test pilots, and I have a couple of other amps, and so one thing I wanted to do is just to kind of show everybody the differences in sound between the amplifier, the head, and the speakers from TC Electronics versus the TC Electronic head on a couple of other different speakers. The first one I have is I have an Ampeg SVT2 bass head and a couple of old speakers. This was a homemade cabinet that I just got from a friend. It has, I think, two 18 JBLs. It sounds great in general. I've always been pretty happy with it, so curious to hear how that sounds with the TC Electronics. And then also over here, I have one of my other rig. I have an Ampeg 410 and I have a GK 400 RB3. So we'll just try a couple of different combinations of that and see what happens. Okay, first I'm going to start with just the RH450 as is on a totally flat EQ setting. On my speakers I have a 210 and a 212 combination, which I've really liked so far. And then for my bass I have a Fender Jazz bass. It's the Geddy Lee model. I'm just going to play a couple of, I'll do two different types for each of these. I'll do a basic slap groove, and then I'll just do a basic picking groove. Nothing fancy, just enough to where it can kind of hear the sonic capabilities of each. So for comparison's sake, I'm going to keep the 210 on both tests. Now first I'm going to do the 210 with the JBL 218s, and then I'll do the 210 with the TC 212s, just so you can kind of see the difference in the low end. Here it is with the JBLs. Now my normal TC rig with the 210s and the 212s. And then for a basic picking groove. For a little low end. Picking. For a little low end. Overall, it's a little hard to tell on this one because it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges in the sense that I'm doing my TC 210s with 218 versus trying it with a 212, and so I mean there's definitely going to be a difference. And I think that's mainly the difference I heard just on first impression. Is I think more along the size. You know, the JBLs have really good punch down low and definitely good bass end. I would say this rig right here has a little less low end overall when I'm comparing it with that, but again I think that's just because of the speaker sizes. Now what I'd really like to see is TC also put out a 218 cabinet and see how that compares with, you know, maybe the 210s, because I think that would be really, really nice. So, you know, just a thought on that. Alright, so now my other setup is I'm going to compare some of the 10-inch speakers. Again, this isn't a direct comparison because of my TC I just have two 10s, whereas here on my Ampeg I have four. So obviously there's going to be a little bit more of a richer sound overall on the Ampeg because of the 410, but just so you can see a little bit of the difference. Here's a TC 210 on a slap. And then here's the TC 210 on just a basic picking. So with that kind of not so even comparison, I can definitely tell there's more low end on the Ampeg, more of a wider EQ range overall. I would say on just the TC by itself, it's just more of a mid-range EM. It does seem to have more clarity on the pops, I think. Those come through really well. I'd be curious to hear 410s versus the 410s on the Ampeg. So maybe any of the other bassists out there, TC test pilots, have the two sets of the 210s. Definitely let me know if you're able to do a test. I'd be curious to hear how that comes out as well.